So we're actually working on some cool parts right now, and something that they do require is called that's our air compressor going off. What they do require is something called a dovetail. So dovetailing is just a way to fixture or clamp your pieces. In this case, it allows us more access on the sides because right now it's kind of clamped in there. I can slide it out, but you can see that a dovetail simply just cuts a little undercut or grooves into your piece of stock, and then your vise over here has undercuts that it grips onto and pulls everything down. Otherwise, if we weren't to do this and just clamp this on the side, I would have to open these jaws up quite a bit, even more. Keep going, keep going. So, if my part is in here, sometimes my tools might not be able to reach the actual part because they could come in contact with the vise. The jaw faces could potentially cause collisions. So we use dovetailing, and it gives you a bit more of an accurate hold and tighter hold on your part. Morning everybody, how's it going? So, got a kind of interesting one. I think you might have seen me swap these things out earlier in some previous videos, but these are some pretty cool fixtures that we made here in the shop, and they essentially use vacuums to hold our pieces of tube. These are 4" by 2" rectangular tube, and we need to have access to all 4 sides of them, obviously through 2 setups, which means we'll do all of our processing on side 1, flip it over, re-vacuum it down. That's our side 2 operations. But how these vacuum plates work is actually really interesting and kind of cool. That because we need access to all 3 of those sides at a time, we can't really clamp anything from the sides, otherwise that would limit our access. So what we did is that we made these vacuum plates. You can see this black little line that goes through here, that's just tubing that kind of seals that off. And then there's a port right back here, and then this little knob just controls the flow of that vacuum, and then we have air lines running out the machine and then to our vacuum pump, which is actually on the outside of the machine, so we can also gauge by reading its dial, which measures in inches of mercury, if it's close to pulling a complete or full vacuum, or if one of the parts that is on here isn't sitting properly. We can tell that just by reading the dial. Before we actually start running parts, we don't want any of them to be loose because those could seriously get thrown around in here, damage some tools, cause a lot of problems.